What are you trading?
I shorted stop it.
Why?
It's lower high on an extended stock.
Wow, TGI is getting hit.
How many viewers do we have?
Not many.
Don't worry, this won't be on the news. All right. This is John Dombotsky.
What's going on?
You've been trading for a while, right? 2016?
I started full time with you back in the office when you and Jack invited me in. It was like
Full time. You were trading. I remember.
So
we have a funny story. Tell the story.
Yeah. So I was landscaping at the time. That was my only job. I didn't go to college. And I wanted to make money. Like, I wanted to make real money, and I wanted to do what I want. So I bumped into day trading, and I basically got into it a little bit. I joined a chat room, and in this chat room, like, I needed somebody to like mentor me along the way. Like, I needed a teacher, I needed something. So that was my mission. I'm gonna go find somebody. Let's see what I can do. So I get in this chat room, and in this chat room, there's a thing in the top right corner you could click. I don't know if I'm allowed.
Is it Investors Underground?
Okay,
Yeah.
Investors Underground. And in the top right corner, there's this button you could click. You could see how far away people are from you. And I messaged about like 10 people, and I got probably like 4 responses, and one of them happened to be Dom. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm from Michigan. Where are you from?
You already knew.
Yeah. So,
I was like, how does this guy know this?
yeah. He's like, how do you know? That's weird. And I'm like, dude, you should go look at this, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, we ended up meeting up. He gave me this big packet I still have. You remember that packet he gave me? All these pages of all this information about OTCs. I've never traded an OTC before. So I didn't realize like the difference between like filling on an OTC, getting used to how they move and all that stuff. So anyways, I go home, and the next day I hit him up. I'm like, hey, Dom, what are you watching? And he's like, I'm watching this one stock. It's a breakout. I think you should look into it. So anyways, ended up looking into it, and I'm like, all right, Dom, I got like 10,000 shares, and I'm good to go. So I ended up swinging it, and I'm like, Dom, why isn't this trading after hours? Like, what is this doing? It's not doing anything. So I ended up getting into that. Then in the very next day, I got caught in a panic, and I lost like $400 or $500. And at the account,
It was a rough start.
Yeah, it was a rough start. So I had like a $2,000 account at the time, I think. So I lost all that money, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he's a fake. Anyway, so I think that was the time when the wheat stock started really
Yeah, I
heating
think
up.
so too.
So that was like a bad time for me. I'm like all lost and everything. And actually, you had your biggest loss.
Right.
That day, you were stuck in an offering. You lost $2,000. I remember that. We're like, just bad start. I'm like, dude, screw this guy. Anyways, I think a year goes by, and I text him every once in a while. Then one day I texted him, and he's like, hey, come here. Let's talk again. And Jack was your roommate at the time, and we started connecting a little bit more. And at the time, I only placed about like altogether maybe 10 trades. Like, I was just learning. And the way I learn, I need somebody. Like, Dom's a great person to learn off of. Huddy. Both of them, they're great. So anyways, I did that. I ended up joining their office and trading next to both of them. Then
in the closet.
Yeah, in a
we took off the doors.
Yeah, we
gave him his own little office.
Yeah, so I was just shoved in the closet, and I'm like, I'm next to these 2 guys that are making money, and I'm landscaping. I'm making like $16 an hour.
I think you were doing
that.
Snow removal. So
yeah, snow removal.
You would just work randomly for like 3 days, and then you'd trade.
Yeah. So I would do that back and forth, and I would just kind of part-time, full-time kind of thing. So yeah, and so I took my account from 3K, and I got it up to PDT. I think I was 24,000.
You were hovering around that all the time.
I was hovering around.
You were breaking rules at your Schwab, or was it?
Yeah. So I broke like every rule in the PDT game. Like, I broke PDT rules on like Schwab, E-Trade, Thinkorswim, all that, like TD. So I broke all those rules. Had to learn the hard way. That was really annoying, but. Yeah, so I ended up so I had a girlfriend at the time. I still do, my fiance now. I took my account down to 10K, okay? And it was like back up against the wall type stuff. Like, I'm like, this is it for me. Like, I'm not making any money. I'm going on dates. I had so many weddings I was in and I had to pay for. And I'm like, dude, this is so stressful. This is so bad. I'm like, I'm going to start over, okay? I'm going to relax. I got this. So anyways, I took my account from like 10K that year to like, I think 100,000, and just there I am today. Like, I just keep going up. So, I mean, it was a little bit of a journey for me, but I actually did it, and I'm like, I'm really
What year did you take it down to 10K? 2019.
I think 2019, yeah.
And that was a slow year for me.
So,
that was my rough year, but
yeah, everybody was struggling. It was tough. Jack was trying to learn listed stocks at the time. He was doing his own thing, and dude, it was tough. Like,
Huddy was fine.
yeah, Huddy was fine, but like we were all screwed. We were just sitting in a corner crying at each other. But yeah, so it was a little bit of a journey for me. And I'm happy to have that because that built character in us. Like that taught us so much during those hard times. Like I don't know any of you guys what you're going through, but I'm guessing some of you are struggling. Maybe I'm more relatable than Randy. Like Randy is one of those guys. He'll slap me. I'm just like
he's a prodigy.
Yeah.
Would you remember the first time we met him? I said this kid's gonna be a Dux.
He did, and I'm like, thanks, Dom. Thanks for saying that about me. I'm like, okay, like no, I'm not comfortable with taking that much size and risking that amount.
And
of
most
money.
people are. I'm not comfortable taking it. And he overnight could do it. Yeah.
So any of you saying like trying to compare yourself to Randy, don't do that. Like that's not. Yeah, Randy is a unicorn. He is. He's a good guy. But anyway, so so that was my journey, and I just kept going up. I mean, mainly I play OTC breakouts right now. Dom taught me first screen days. I got into those, and those are my main two patterns I make the most money off of.
And you're pretty disciplined trader. You never hear about Botsky being down a ton on the day from stupidity. He's never going to attack a car short. You really don't even short that often on first red day. If you do, it's a very particular overextended gap down first red day. Like you're really good at picking the right stocks. Like you were a little late to the party in LUS, but like you waited for the entry that you felt comfortable with. You don't like just stabbing early like I do.
No, and that's the thing. Like you got to know yourself as a trader. You learn over the years like who you are, what you want to do. I mean, if you stab into something like ILUS early, ILUS, and you take losses over and over, you just get tired of that, and you're like, hey, I'm just gonna actually wait for the level. I'm like, guys, alert me when it's at 42 cents. Like that's my place. I'm gonna buy it. And like it went sideways under 42 cents, and I bought it. And I don't know. You just kind of get to know yourself and kind of just go from there.
How do you get to know yourself? You've like 4 or 5 years now. Is it you just learning from all the mistakes you're making? But it's you have to be self-aware, right? You have to be willing to accept that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you learn? It's like trial and error. Like, you just get tired of certain things. Like, you might just get tired of being under PDT one day. You're like, that's it. I'm doing everything in my will to get myself past PDT. I mean, it's just trial and error. That's all it is. I mean, tired of being early in a stock and just waiting for the actual move, then buying it and having the right risk. I like to go by the book personally. And, I went to Trader for a Cause this year, and somebody speaking was Brian Lee. And he was talking about like the 1% rule. On the good trades, you risk 1% of your account. So if you have $100,000, you're risking $1,000. And like Huddy before taught me this, like, John, you need to pick like a dollar amount you want to risk. And I'm like, I've never done that before because everything was all over. I was risking $200, $300, $400. And it's just like my risk reward was thrown off. And I started risking $1,000 on everything. And I started seeing consistent gains like that and my P&L going up. Then when I hit like a certain amount of dollars, I just kept moving my risk up just slowly. Randy, on the other hand, I mean, like,
he went from $200 risk to $5,000 risk overnight.
The 10,000 to just, oh god.
I'm telling you, he felt what it felt like to make 10 grand, and it felt so good to him that he wanted to do it every single time.
He did.
And I think it's a fallacy that people think. They think like my first 100K day I've only had one, and when you do that though, you come to the market the next day, anything but 100K feels wrong. Because you just felt it, and you probably went out for dinner that night, had some wine, like everyone told you how amazing you were, and then you go back and you make $2,000 and you feel like, small potatoes again. And I feel like you don't have big swings in your losses and your gains. Like, what's your biggest gain in terms of your average winner?
My biggest gain was, I think, on the mic with Huddy. You were gone. It was like 23,000. What's that stock? Asti?
Was it Asti?
It was. Yeah, we were in it together. Yeah. So we were really early to it, and like I was risking $1,000. So I mean, like we were really early, and we just loaded up and just kind of double down. And you don't have to risk a lot to make a lot. And I keep telling Randy this, but like he'll learn someday. It's good, but no, I don't know. It's one of those things. I mean, yeah. So I mean, as my account grows, I'm moving my risk up just slowly. I'm going by the book. Like I don't want to swing my account. I don't want to have X amount of dollars. Like I think 30% of my account overnight in a trade. Personally, this is me. Okay, I want to be here tomorrow. I don't want to blow up from something stupid. I don't want to get like.
What a novel thought.
Right?
Like, let's knock on wood. If Illis ever halted, like that, it would be bad.
Whoa,
I'm not saying
everyone knock on wood.
I'm not saying this, but everybody's knocking on wood because it could happen. I'm just saying I want to.
Coca-Cola could not buy them out.
Yeah. So it could go either way, but I'm just saying I want to be here tomorrow. I don't want to blow up from something stupid. So I just kind of stick by the rules.
Do you think it's that fear that it's not even fear, but it's respect for the market and what it can do to you? That's different than Randy. Whereas Randy, I feel like he could blow up his account tomorrow and wake up and go for a run.
Let's not say. Yeah. I mean, he could, but let's think positive here.
Okay. In theory, 20% of his account.
So where I get that from is kind of like almost learning from like the wisdom that older people have. I mean, if you read Market Wizards, like people have blown up. It's like
hundreds of $1 million.
Yeah, huge account. I mean, you have Melvin Capital and GME that blew up. Like literally, like it could happen to anybody. It's just I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to put myself in that position.
Have you ever been in any situation like that?
No, and
Panic dip buy?
I got stuck in one.
Because I remember that you quit them forever.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about that really quick. Panic dip buys. I do not like panic dip buys. I will not buy a panic dip buy. If somebody says panic dip buy, I'm not looking at it. I don't even care. Like I just don't make money off.
Discipline.
I lose. So I'm not going to play that.
You can make more money trading by just knowing what you're bad at and never doing it.
Yeah.
That's all. That is, if you want to put something on your wall, because you know what you're good at because you're going to continue to go back to those things that make you money naturally. But you're also going to continue to naturally go back to the things that are just appealing to the eye. A panic dip buy is appealing to you. No matter, you're not going to buy it, right? But if someone put it on your screen, you want to buy it because you know what's going to happen for the most part, right? Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time it bounces. I mean, lately they haven't been working like they used to.
We don't get the panics.
Yeah, it's different. The market kind of changed with that. I don't know what it was, but
and that's what it's like. I watched cars the other day on the parabolic, and it's like I know this is going to get hammered sometime in the next hour.
Yeah.
But how can I just accept that and accept the fact that if I miss the top, I will not stop trying, and I'm going to lose 40 grand. Because that's how it works.
Do you make a lot of money on parabolic
No.
shorts? Why are you touching it?
Exactly. It's appealing to the eye.
You could have put 40 more grand into Illis.
Yeah.
And that's the place you make a lot of money on. So, I mean, it's just like where your focus is at.
Yeah, and let's talk about, what do you think the role of like having a community aspect of us in Michigan played in both of your success? Like, because a lot of people don't have that. I didn't have that, and it was lonely and it sucked. But it doesn't take. You could start this with a couple people and just use an educational service and do it together, and it would make it easier. Because someone's going to pick up on it faster. Someone's going to get the buys. Someone's going to get the shorts. Someone's going to understand the psychology. All four of us are so different in what we do, right?
Everybody has different ideas. When you come together, it's just like one big blob. Everybody's tossing out ideas, and you just learn so much quicker. It's like the fast route. Like, finding mentors is great, but even a little group, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Get together, share ideas, go over trades, look at trades, review, and it'll just click. It's just
what's cool is like that group that we were in today. Everyone's different. Like me and Jack are similar, but he's better at some things. I'm better at other things. Randy is maybe similar to some things, but he's gonna make more money on them, right? And then like Jack Schwartz is shortened day one, something I would never do. There's something to be learned no matter how successful the group is or how much money the group is worth, like I can look at every one of those persons and ask them a question because I'm actually curious. I don't know. They know something I don't know. And that's the cool thing about these groups is every single day, someone goes to someone else for advice. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, oh, we're all together and we're all successful. We all know everything. Every day you have me and Huddy, you've probably seen on our stuff. We disagree a lot. Me and Randy disagree on a lot. He's like, why are you buying Mark? I'm like, I think it's perfect. He's like, you would never like that. And then, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with Dom sometimes. We were also, I think, Tesla. We were looking for that short. And Dom's like, this ain't going to work. And I'm like, Dom, add. And like, it happened to be one of the tops. And we nailed that, hopefully. I don't know what you did, but.
I held, but I was getting the RV, so I ended up covering to some stupid balance towards break even.
Which, yeah, so everybody has different ideas. I mean,
that's why I say we always say we're all trading the same stuff, right? There's only so many small caps, so many mid caps, like what we're looking at, so many OTCs, but everyone does it differently, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about the community aspect. And it's like, you know, Randy, say he screws this up and it panics at 42, he sells randomly, and then it works out, and two of us hold through that and sell in 2 or 3 days. There's something he can learn from that. We can give him advice. Tell him, oh, did you look at the behavior? The stock normally does pull towards the end of the day and then recover. Like, and everyone has little nuances that they can teach each other. And even in a group of beginners, I mean, for you guys, a lot of you are intermediate who you know a lot about trading. You just haven't quite put it all together to where, you know, you start making money. If you want to talk about that, like a lot of people ask about aha moments, like overnight you just became profitable, which is never the case. What do you think it was? Like, where did you start where did you start making like 20K a month?
That's what's funny. I've never had an aha moment.
Yeah.
But my moment that did change everything was Jack telling me, John, make $500 a day and watch fishing videos. And I'm like, because I used to watch fishing videos when I was in the office. He's just like, make $500 a day. And I was making $500 a day. I was constantly doing what I could do, make $500 a day, and that was it. And I would go run off and watch fishing videos, and I kept doing that over and over. And I'm like, dude, he's telling me what to do. I'm like, I don't know. That's like, aha, like that's my aha moment. Do what you got to do to make $500 a day at the beginning, and just keep snowballing that. And all of a sudden, like you're making 500. I went from making $500 a day to making 1,000, to making 2,000, 3,000, 5,000.
And all of a sudden, you're doing the exact same thing you did when you were struggling. But maybe you've cut out 2 patterns.
Yeah,
maybe you've cut out the big losers. And all of a sudden, it feels easy.
Yeah.
And you go from this period of depression and struggling to like, when was I ever not profitable? This is like, I'm just on cruise control, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it's just, you're kind of shaping yourself to be the trader you want to become.
It will show itself to you. You can't rush the process. Like, for me, it took 10 months, and then all of a sudden, I made 20K a month under PDT.
Yeah.
Like, what changed from one month to the next? It wasn't that. It was every single month added a layer to me that created who I am. Like, and then the next year's version of me looked at that version who was just starting to get profitable and goes, you didn't know anything, you know?
Yeah.
And then even here we are 6 years down the road, and I feel like a beginner still. I go through week-long periods, 2-week-long periods where I'm like, am I sure I didn't just get lucky for 5 years?
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
And a lot of these guys think that once you make it, like it's just easy. It is cruise control.
Well, you think that way, like, hey, if I can make 100,000, if I could hit that number, I made it. Everything else is easy.
Yeah.
It just gets harder.
Yeah,
it's like you learn to size up. Then you learn to deal with different emotions. Not get harder, but it's like
you deal with a different set of challenges.
Yeah. So it's one of those things.
Like, I mean what? What are you guys laughing at?
No.
What are you trading?
No, we're talking about it, yeah.
Oh, how good it looks?
Yeah.
Where can maybe go?
What?
Where can maybe go?
Oh, you guys are doing that thing? All right, let's make some questions. So, what do you do?
Really quick, I do want to suggest a book, and it's called Atomic Habits. I don't know if any of you have read Atomic Habits. And I'm on my 2nd chapter, and it's
that book.
What?
I wrote that book.
He wrote that book. No, it's a really good book, and I highly suggest it. If you read that, do some stock therapy with Dom and Huddy, and just combine the two. Like, it's amazing. That book is like one of the best books I've ever read. It says everything. You could relate everything to trading. It's amazing.
Okay, let's answer some questions. What do you do when you pass the time when you don't have any trades?
Oh, fishing, 100%.
Fishing. He fishes all year.
Yeah,
round.
I mean, like during the summer, it's usually slow. You hit the mornings and you go fishing the rest of the day.
It's that theory of like make $500. It's not like you have a number. It's like once I get to 500 P&L wise, I'm done for the day. It's the theory of trade what you know and then get the F out.
Yeah.
Because as you become more of a trader and become less and less addicted to the process, like the actual being in a trade, you realize how much you go through a period of like a month where you make a ton of money and you look back at what you did, and it's weird. Sometimes you traded less than you ever have. Yeah. You made more on all your winners and you took less losses.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, that's the recipe. How can I do that year round?
Yeah.
And that for me, it's golfing, hunting, fishing. For you, it's fishing, going out with your girlfriend, going to do stuff, like going on trips. And people think you're not working hard, but in reality, you know what works.
Yeah.
And would you agree that like 4 to 5 months max of the year is where you make all your money?
Yeah, I mean, when the OTC market's hot, that's where I'm going to make my money at. Like, when the listeds get hot, I'm learning how to take advantage of that market. I mean, yeah, I'd say like 4 months, if that. Like, February came around, we all made a lot of money, and that was like our biggest months, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't take that many trades to have a big year.
Scotty says, I'm pretty smart and feel like I can trade them all. I struggle with not staying in my lane. Any tricks or tips to help?
Yeah, don't trade them all.
I think the best piece of advice, and the reason you know that is because you've done it. And
Yeah.
what I would do is, this is what I do with my dad a lot. I would do an experiment on yourself. Like, if you want to take this serious, you should be able to do this. Go a month and tell yourself, I'm only going to trade this setup. If you have two, you feel really confident. I'm only going to trade 2 setups. I am not allowed to. I don't care how good it is. I don't care if Tesla goes to 2 million. I'm not going to short it if that's not my pattern. I will not touch any pattern but this 1 or 2, and see how you do. Because because you're back of your brain, if you do that, you'll make more money.
You're developing a good habit.
Yeah. And
That's
do
what
that
you're
experiment. Doing. Do it for 2 weeks. Do it for a week. Do whatever you can do to prove to yourself that that is the process to success. And once you do that, it's like all of my sticky situations, all of my drawdowns come from very similar mistakes every single time. And I look back and I go, what did I do when I was rolling? When things were going good? Oh, I did this, this, and this. So that's my new thing. For the next week, I'm only allowed to do this, this, and this. Get back on track. All of a sudden, feel good. It's very simple, but it's do an experiment on yourself. And that's why I tell my dad, like, I'm like, I think you're watching too many chat rooms. I think you have too many tickers. I tell him, do a week-long experiment. Don't listen to any chat rooms. Just try it. Like, if you can't commit yourself to trying something like that, then you aren't in this for the right reasons. And especially when it's something that I'm telling you I think could change the game for you. In the market today, how can you make $500 every day as the setups aren't there every day? OTCs, that is. There may be 4 trades a month.
So what I was doing to make $500 a day was a little bit different than I was doing now. It's like my focus was trying to be consistent and just kind of like taking smaller moves rather than like letting moves work out.
Oh, Tesla's getting hammered.
You know what? That's a good question. I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but I think the market was fairly hot and I was waiting for the OTC breakouts and just playing trigger plays. What a trigger play is basically like it has a top right here and its stock keeps pushing against it and it breaks through and you're buying the trigger and risking the lows. That's what I was playing on all sorts of different charts. So yeah, $500 a day when the market's hot. I don't focus. I don't put a number on it anymore. It's kind of more like I'm playing.
I think it's more of it's an idea that you need to go back to. That's like, if you do the math, like what is $500 a day? Is that like 200,000 a year or something like that?
I think it's 100,000.
I think 400 might be 100,000, something like that. And it's just the mentality of you don't need to be making a ton of money every day, so you don't need to be trading every day. Like if you were to make average $500 a day, you're making more. You're in the top 10%. You know.
So I wasn't making $500 a day. I was making like more like 1,000, losing 200, making 4, like 700, making 4, 2, and it would average out to be $500 a day. If that
and it's the mindset. It's like, what is $1 million a year? Is that 4,000?
I think it's 4,000.
Something like that. And it's like you can average 20K a month, right?
Yeah.
20K a week.
Yeah.
For us, bigger during a hot market, like, and it's just that it's something you go into each day with the reminder that this is most likely not going to change the year. It's most likely not going to affect the year at all. Like there's probably 10 days a year that have the biggest impact on your P&L. And if you realize that, you don't need to force, don't need to push, don't need to attack things differently than they deserve to be attacked. Let's see.
Wait, I had 8 consecutive losses in October, then 1 trade. Cover it all and more. Just got to focus on 100%.
And every time you do that, Alex, I'm reading the comment about 8 consecutive losses in October, then 1 trade covered it all and more. Once you do that, remember how that feels. Remember when you were losing 8 times in a row, how down you got on yourself, how negative you got, and then realize that if you implore positive risk reward over the long run, that's going to continue to happen. Of course, you're going to hit streaks where you have 4 LIACFs in a row and you get way ahead. but we don't go straight up and straight down. That means you're probably going to have some sort of pullback or drawdown or sideways period. And the best thing you can do is keep that money when you go on those runs. There's 48 US.
Is that the actual breakout?
48 something, 48.7, I think.
Nice. Cool.
But I would write down, maybe journal what that felt like, because that's what happens to me all the time. And then I'll have like an NLST trade or something where I'll make 50, 75K, and I'll be like, oh, I know that I was going to do this because this is how I trade. So when I'm right, I'm going to get rewarded. It's just not time. And I cannot push right now to get that, or else I'm just throwing away more of that profit when it's coming. Surfing Wave says, great interview. I think I'm more like John. I have this risk management built into my DNA. It's good to hear his story. Yeah, and that's how I started too. For 3 or 4, like 2019, I had made hundreds of thousands, and I was still risking 200 to trade. It was hard for me to learn how to size up. Like some of us, we have to kind of be forced out of our comfort zone, and I've tried to do that with John, and he's getting better at it. He's definitely not afraid to risk a couple thousand now on A+ setups.
No, and that's the thing. Like I said, 1% of my account on good setups. Now, if you have a really good setup like Illis, I'm going to risk probably 2% of my account and just go up from there. I mean, nothing crazy. When you have a smaller account, though, let's say your account's at like 10,000, I would, once you get the hang of like trading, know your setup, you got to risk a little bit more to start growing it a little bit faster, because if you risk 1% of 10,000, what is that, $100? Yeah, so I mean, it's going to take you a minute to get up there. So I mean, when you're at a smaller account, you really got to take advantage.
You got to take more risks.
Yeah, I mean, hot OTC.
Unfortunately, and I would continue pumping money into it. I had a good question. Let me see. So what would be your advice for helping these people find their niche, finding what they're good at, besides what we're teaching them? Which, I mean, it might fit some people, it might not fit some people. Like I mentioned that experiment, picking a pattern, just sticking with it. Is there any rules you would give? How do you speed up the process of becoming profitable?
I see. I don't want to pump them, but I got to pump them. Like stock therapy is really going to take you to the next level. I'm saying that from experience, because as Dom and Huddy are both experienced traders. You got to be around them. I mean, it's just one of those things. A mentor is really going to speed up the process. And if you don't have a mentor, I mean, groups? Finding groups and trial and error. But it takes a lot longer doing that. I'd say a mentor is like your best bet to really get in there.
And it makes it more fun. Like,
yeah.
You started alone as well, right?
Yeah.
And it's depressing. It's lonely.
Yeah.
You almost, even when you're happy, you can't tell anyone because no one knows anything about trading.
Yeah.
So you make your record day as a beginner, or you finally get profitable and you tell your parents. I remember my mom would be like, how much you make today? How much you make today? And I would be like, whatever. And basically I was losing for 10 months straight. And they're probably having conversations in the kitchen when I'm sleeping, like, what's going on here? Is this kid really going to blow his whole life by not going to get a job and he's just going to sit in the basement?
Yeah. Have you talked about that?
What?
I mean, all that negative self-talk.
No, we can talk about that.
100%, because I think that's relatable. When I first started off, I probably had about like 10 people in my life, and I wasn't really close with them at the time, but they were saying, don't trade. Like, you're gambling. Even a teacher I DM'd on Twitter, I was like, what should I do? Like, is trading okay? Like, what do you think about it? And he's like, it's like craps. And I'm like, you know what? Screw all these guys. I'm doing my own thing. Like, I'm going in for this. I'm going to try it for myself and see why 95% of the people lose. And I figured it out. I was like, it kind of makes sense now.
It was very obvious. When you realize, especially when you watch interviews from video lessons from like the Gratanis, the Rolands, the Sykes, the Nates, the people who have made it, they don't do groundbreaking things. They stick to a very simple set of rules. And then when you start to go into a chat room, like Sykes chat room or something, and you see how many real degens that are never going to be successful, and you go, what are they all doing that's so wrong that this big group of people is all failing? You can pick apart, like they say, success leaves clues. Like the opposite of success leaves clues too. Like, what are they doing? How do I beat them? Because like I remember I went to the first conference I went to was Sykes conference in 2017, I think, and there was 400 people in the room, and my dad goes to me, he goes, if 5% of traders succeed, that means whatever number, 370 of these people will never succeed. That is the fact, right? And I said, so what can I do that's different than all these people to succeed? Well, I can read more books, I can study harder, I can get more market experience, I can reach out to mentors, and do what everyone else isn't doing, and you will find success. Like I think the quote is like, do what the 95% of people are doing, you have a 100% chance of failure. You do what the 5% are doing, you have a 100% chance of success. And that is really the truth. And it's not that difficult. When you look back, you don't remember what it feels like, how hard it was for those 10 months. I remember laying in bed like, dude, my life is a mess.
Oh, it was terrible. It was
Like-
very stressful, very depressing. I mean, all the negative talk that was going in my head, it couldn't be healthy. Like,
no.
I literally didn't go to college. I didn't, I was making $16 an hour. And like I said, I had the girlfriend at the time. So it's like,
You're working 60 hours a week with your hands.
yeah,
like,
with
in the
my
mud,
hand,
like-
landscaping and in the mud. And when it was so bad at the time. But looking back, those were the fun times. Like, that's when you really build yourself. That's where your character really shines. I mean,
No, but that's because when you look back now and life is
Yeah.
easier, you know, have that. I mean, of course, we go through stretches where it's difficult. We have to dig into that, like tap into that again. But you look back and you just feel this sense of proudness of what you
Yeah.
were able to accomplish. Because, I mean, you truly think so few actually do succeed. Like you had to really buck up and get through it. And that is something, like I always said, like, if it wasn't 10 months, if it was a year, if it was 2 years, I would have never quit. I was in too deep. Like the stock market, just the fact that it exists, I will never lose to it. Like I will beat it. Like not necessarily
maybe not beat it, but
but like I mean, like
I
I'll
got
beat
you.
myself.
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
never fail. And I think you have to have that sense of confidence in yourself. You listen to all the top traders, what they talk about, and they really do have this sense of like they knew they were going to succeed, and you can't question it one bit because every day that's hard. You got to get up, study at night, get up and do it again, and that's how you accomplish anything in life. You know?
yeah.
You listen. I watched for years when I was studying, and I got away from it a little bit recently. But like Impact Theory on YouTube, I think is an amazing channel. He just brings on successful people and interviews them for an hour, and you realize it doesn't matter what industry they're coming from, what they've done to become successful, whether it's money or health or some other thing, or like helping with charities, helping other people. Like they all have the same set of values. They have the same set of beliefs. They believe the same things about themselves and the world. And if you can tap into that and create that, success just naturally comes. You don't have to force it or push it. I think the more you push it, especially in trading, the harder it always gets. The more you pull back, look inward, come up with a solution, then attack it, you're going to be way better off.
Yep, I agree.
Huddy, you want to say anything to John or to the people? Let's, if anyone has any more questions for me, for Huddy, while they're still here, I think Randy went to get us lunch for noon. But we still got 20 minutes if you want to talk trading, or if we want to talk psychology, we want to talk to John, if you want questions about his journey. Yeah, I think he's a really relatable trader. That's kind of I wanted to bring them both on to show like every type of trader is different, and we all have different journeys.
Yeah, I think we all kind of want to be the Randy, like the big guy.
Everyone wants to be.
Yeah,
the
yeah. So you're hitting that much size, and you're taking on all this risk, and you're making X amount of dollars, and this all that stuff. Throw that out. Like you're gonna be who you are. Just like whoever you are, just get better at doing that. I mean, if you don't like taking on risk, like that might be your personality. Just slowly move up, like me.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing is wrong with
You
that.
can
at
make
all.
$250,000 to $1 million a year being very, very risk averse.
Because here's the thing, Randy's gonna be like, I want to be like this person. I want to make 10 million. I want to make 100 million. It just keeps going up. So it's like
you realize you'll never be at the top.
no, and
There's someone better than you.
yeah.
That's what you realize when you start talking to actual like traders for a cause. You're in a room where we're successful, but we're the smallest whales in the room. Like we're tiny little guppies, and you're in a room with sharks.
We're more like dolphins.
Dolphins. I like
No.
that better.
I'm a guppy.
Or like a mahi.
Yeah, and you got great white sharks in the room. I mean, I'm sitting next. I'm like watching Trader for a Cause. I'm sitting next to a guy that makes probably, I don't even know, 100 times more than I do. Easy. What's his name?
yeah.
LX21.
Oh yeah.
I look over and I'm like, he's taking notes. Like,
Yeah, he is taking notes.
He is taking notes watching Jack and Mari, and he's been trading for how long?
And Huddy.
And Huddy.
20,
And Huddy.
25 years. He went dark because he had too much money and he was trading too much.
And he was
like,
taking notes. That shows so much about that guy right there. I was like, dude, I'm not even taking notes. Like, what? So, I mean, just keep learning and just keep going. John, to make 10K a month, let's say full time.
say it out loud. So people know. John,
John-
to make 10K a month, let's say full-time living, based on how you trade, what amount of dollar risk would you need to get
100.
there?
You say $100?
I think you risk 1 to 200 easy. I think 200 is a perfect number for risk. I think it's not enough to where you get stressed out about it, but it's big enough that you can make 1 to 5K on a really good trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of, here's the thing that book talks about, like Atomic Habits. Instead of putting that number in your head, 10K, like we all want to make 10K, instead like focus on the process on making that 10K.
Or think about averaging 10K on the month after the year's over.
Yeah. So you have that goal, but focus on the process. Everybody says process. What does that really mean? I mean, the process is what's going to get you to the goal. So who even cares about the goal? You never know when you're going to reach it or whatever. I mean, we want to make 100K in X amount of time. Focus on the process because the process is what's going to get you there. So, I mean, like...
It's hard advice to listen to because it sounds like you're just giving them the easy answer. But it's the truth.
It is.
Like, I mean, you're up 2K in the month, and tomorrow's the end of the month. Does that mean you just go push for 8K? If you're Randy, maybe. But you don't do that. You realize that what you realize is the market is the market, and it is the market. Like, you can't force anything on the market. You get whatever it gives you, and there's going to be slow years. There's going to be fast years. There's going to be fast months and slow months. And your job is to realize, how do I stay here how am I going to still be trading in 5 years, and how do I have the most money as I can in 5 years without risking the farm? And to answer those questions, you realize how minuscule today means in your 5-year journey, right? It means nothing. There's going to be some days where that day means a lot, where you make 100K, or you pass big milestones, or you nail the first time you ever nail a big trade. Like, those matter. But for the most part, today doesn't matter. So stay alive, stay in the game, and learn something that's going to help you in the future. Like, we still talk trading most nights. Like, a lot of times we'll just pop into our chat, talk at night, like go over stuff for the next day, or we come up with new patterns. Like yesterday, we're talking about some new sell idea. How can we maximize these trades? Like, we don't stop trying to learn. And if you think you're just going to put in a couple years, get successful, consistently profitable, and then it's over, that's not the case, because the Duxes aren't stopping. The Nates aren't stopping. Like, these people are putting in more work than they ever have. And you have to realize that this is your career. This is actually a career, and we have to treat it like a business. We have to treat it like it's something you want to do for the next 30 or 40 or 50 years. Like, I can't see a world where I ever stop.
Yeah.
Like, I love it that much. Like,
yeah,
I feel blessed that I have a job that I actually love so much that I can sit here for 14 hours from yesterday to today and just talk about it.
I mean, it's
and
so
to help
cool.
people. And it's so hard. Like, you feel like like getting through trading. I feel like getting like even consistently profitable, wherever it goes from here. I feel like that accomplishment is bigger than anything I've ever done really in life. And that's why I want to help people, because I want them to feel that way. That's why you guys here, and I know you guys all want to be like in my office and in my private chats and stuff. But the reality is, I was lonely, and I wanted to, when he said he lived 20 minutes down the road, I wanted him to feel what it felt like to have a 50K month. And when I asked, Jordan or my dad or Des, like, or my brother now, like, I have so many people around me that didn't know what trading was when I first became successful, but I wanted them to like when I talk to like my brother, I'm like, I don't want him to be upset that he has to work his engineering job anymore. I want to help them. I want them to feel the way I feel, because it truly is such an exhilarating feeling. Like, because do you have anything to say about it? Like, your come up was what, like 2 years?
Yeah.
And I mean, is that why you want to give back?
I just remember so clearly that white space that I lived in, where it's like, again, like when I got successful, there wasn't even a dom, there wasn't even a jack, like there was barely a roll in.
Oh,
like,
no, wait. Okay, so I actually, sorry, you want to go ahead?
Really rude.
No, finish what you
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There was only a Steven Dux and a Grittani, and like they already, like, okay, Grittani answered all the questions, but Dux never answered a single freaking question I ever asked him. And I just remember being so frustrated. I was like, you guys are making millions. Like, all you have to do is answer this simple question. Like, what's a lower high? Like, just tell me what a lower high is. Because 1 minute it's a lower high, and the next minute it's a new high. Like, that wasn't a lower high. Like, what's a lower high, right? And I always have these, like, very basic questions, and I would get so frustrated. Like, I would really have to put in the work, put in the hours to figure out exactly what my definition of a lower high was. There was no one to help me along that path. And I remember it being just so absolutely frustrating that, like, I told myself, in that moment, I said, if I ever, became successful at this, I would be the guy answering questions. I would find a way to give back, because I remember, again, like, how dark and scary that place is when you're not making money, when everything's confusing, when every day is a gain, the next day is a loss. Like, it's not fun.
Scotty says Sykes would say, go watch my other 100,000 videos for that answer.
Right, and I'd be like, Sykes, like,
Do you want to read that whole thing, Alex 17 post?
John, I watched your small account stream with JC that you did about a year ago in Scott's room. It was so useful for me because I'm going exactly through the phases you were talking about. I'm at a point in my journey when I figured out what works best for me, meaning my best setups. I crossed above break even recently, so now I'm just struggling with really trusting my setups. A lot of times I see my setups but I try to find negatives about it, making it not perfect for me, even though the big picture is solid. Then the stock does exactly what I planned, and I'm sitting on the sidelines. So I can recognize the setup, but I really need to improve on not hesitating and taking that trade. Any advice?
I mean, like, you're doing what you got to be doing. I mean, like,
You just have to have you have to trust yourself enough to take them. Like, you have to put together a plan and trust yourself enough to continue to take it over and over again.
Just putting in the reps, basically. Just keep going.
If you consistently recognize good setups, eventually you're going to get sick and tired of not being in them, and you'll force yourself to start being in them. That's what I was talking about with Randy, like criteria. You need to have strict criteria for your patterns. Like, you're obviously too hard on yourself with the patterns. You have to realize not every pattern is perfect. Like, ILUS was really, really good, but it could have set up more perfect if I created it. You know, it could have went sideways longer.
Have you talked about setups?
What do you mean? Like what we
Just
trade?
in general? Yeah. You know the picture I made of how to make a living?
What?
Okay, so I have this picture, okay? And I think I showed it in that stream, Alex. It's how to make a living. And all it is basically a stock going up, holding a base and putting in that trigger, and we buy that trigger, and it goes up further, hopefully. That's how to make a living. That's what we play. That's how we make our, like, that's how your biggest trades come from.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could keep it really simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid.
I mean, and you've been trading with me for a while, and it was a long journey up, but once you got there, you finally understood what I was telling. Is it easy? What I teach is simple, right? Like, I'm not that smart about trading. I don't do a lot of extra credit when it comes to filings or fundamentals, or like, I am the ideal person to learn from, because, and you obviously you can branch off and learn way more from other people who know that stuff and are better at that stuff. But like, was I what you needed? Like, because I know Investors Underground is really complicated. Like, it's a lot of nuanced stuff that you have to wrap your head around as a beginner. And
yeah,
what I'm teaching is basically like what you said.
Yeah, like, it's Investors Underground is great, by the way. But no, what he's teaching is basically like, think about it like you're in kindergarten. Okay, sorry, but that's what it is. I mean, just keep it simple, please. Just keep it simple, because once it's simple, you can make bigger. You just learn so much from that. I mean, I don't know. I need to send you the picture. You'll post in the chat. Have them see it. I mean, it's so stupid. Yeah, I drew it with my hand, and I signed it. Like, I want to actually frame that. I should frame it. NFT. I should NFT that. It's funny. It's an ABCD pattern, but it's like how I drew it and the way I don't know. It's so stupid, but like, that's the pattern I use.
Belongs on your mom's fridge.
Yeah.
That you should frame it.
I should.
I think the summer was when I just missed everything and really got sick of missing them. In September, I really started to finally take trades and had some solid trades, but I'm still missing good ones. I guess it's just a matter of time experience. I can promise you, you're always going to miss them. Always going to miss good ones. I mean, there's going to be days you have doctor's appointments. There's going to be days you got obligations, or you decide to go golfing, and everyone else makes 50 grand at the end of the day from some huge squeezer, and you're like,
Or your internet goes out.
Well,
like,
yeah, and
you don't know.
You're always going to miss it. And if you can accept it now, it's a lot better. Because I used to get demoralized by missing trades. Like, because you're already struggling and you're trading one pattern or something, and then you're disciplined for 3 days, don't trade anything. You got to go take the dog out for 5 seconds to go to the bathroom, and you miss a perfect breakout. And I waited 3 days for this. I deserve that money. I'm struggling, you know. And in reality, you need to like live in that world, because we miss stuff on a day-to-day basis, and it's okay. You can't be everywhere, you know. Like, and if you do want to be everywhere, you're gonna have to sacrifice the rest of your life. You're going to have to trade from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that's the way it works. Or you can accept the fact that you're going to nail when you're ready and take advantage of that and live a life full of freedom and fun. And, you know, you might not make $100 million, but you'll live a great life, you know. And
no one needs $100 million.
I don't.
No.
As long as I can buy my RVs, my hunting equipment, my fishing boats.
Yeah, more fishing poles, and I'm
we need
good
land.
To go. Land's the next thing.
IU was like PhD level. I got really messed up. I got pissed with Sykes and went to IU, so lost. I had to leave. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. Where I'm at now, I struggle to understand what Nate talks about. Like, he is like a PhD. Like, he has more experience than anyone else. He trades more hours than anyone else. He has more friends. You think we all communicate and talk is an edge. He knows people from every single. He probably knows people in the insiders. He knows people who know news. He knows people who know specifically biotech, specifically OTC, specifically, and he has all those people in his ear, and that is a huge edge. And he also has the most experience and is the most talented and the biggest account. Like,
Nate's a robot. Like
He-
he's a robot.
I mean, the fact that he's tweeting, posting an IU, making videos while trading 75 hours a day. The guy is an animal.
Yes.
Like, I can't learn from him. It just doesn't fit me. But mad respect. Like,
Oh, yeah,
he's the GOAT in my opinion. Like, I know there's people out there who make more money, but what he does on a day-to-day basis across the entire market is crazy.
And talking to him at Trader for a Cause, that was great. Like getting to know him a little bit and kind of just hearing him in person and just sitting down. It was cool. I mean, like, really cool dude. But yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right, we got 8 minutes. If you guys want to start lunch early, we can agree on that. Our food isn't here. If you want to talk about midday stuff, has anyone seen any tickers that are setting up for the afternoon? Because we're going to go over that. So the next thing we're going to do
Randy's
is...
not coming out, is he?
He should. No, not back on.
Okay.
When we get back from lunch, it's going to be stock therapy on you guys. So if you still haven't filled out that questionnaire, make sure you do. We're going to go over a few of them. Take ILUS down so I can get my ads.
It's going down.
I think it might pull. That is the picture.
Yeah. You found it. There it is.
This is what someone posts whenever they get too confused about what I'm saying. And then he's like, no, you're making this harder than it needs to be. And he posts that.
That's funny. I need to frame that.
God, why does my head hurt? We're going to BlackRock tonight.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, let's all thank Mr. Dombotsky for coming on. There's a sturgeon that needs catching somewhere.
Yes, sir. For sure. Thanks
I
for
hope
having
he helped
me.
you out. I hope the dichotomy between the two of them is important to recognize that every trader is different and they all have different strengths, weaknesses, and goals. You know, not all of us want to be the next Ducks or to make $5 million on a trade. Some of us are content in the world of making a living and just having the freedom. That's the big thing for me is I always said, I don't care if it's 100K a year. As long as I'm making money trading and I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, that is all that matters. But the cool thing about that is your own competitiveness within yourself will naturally push you towards 300K, 400K, 500K. And, you know, you just get to live a life that you always wanted to. And that's why this trading thing is so cool. And I think one word, freedom, is what sums it all up.
Yes, sir.
I'm so hungry. Why does my head hurt? Where's Curtis? I didn't ask him a question. Oh, that's what it is.
Hey, click on Illis's daily really quick.
I don't mind if this
Oh,
pull
man.
happens
No.
midday. I don't even care if that is the top for right now and it spends 2 days above 40.
No, it's completely in play. Like, it's all good.
Like, this is a big move.
Yeah, it is.
36 to 4. I don't care if it breaks it up. If it can hold 42, that'd be so ideal. But
I mean, I'm risking low of day from yesterday
yeah,
still.
I think 39 is not going to break though. I like
No.
this a lot. I mean, the weaker this close, the stronger tomorrow should be. Where do you know where the link is to the questionnaires?
No. I'm not a link guy.
Oh, I found that one. Why are you not on Google? Okay, there's that. What the? Man. Is Curtis messaging me now? All right, guys. Oh, he's got them both. Wonderful. We're gonna break for lunch. If I eat quickly and I come back and sit down, I'll talk to you guys if you're still here. Wait, Scott, you can answer. I'll answer these two. Alex's, any information about in-person boot camps, even a tiny bit of info? All I know is that me and Huddy really want to do them, and if you want to harass Curtis, that'd be wonderful, because we'll probably start them as early as next year, right? But we really want to do them. I think that would take this to another level. Like, I think in person is just so much better. Being able to, like you just said, like meeting Nate is a real person now. Like, it brings it back down to reality. It makes you see this is just, if you met us in person, we're just regular people. Like, we all hang out. We're gonna go to dinner tonight to thank John for coming on, John and Randy. And we're not gonna talk about trading probably. Curtis says we can have person at Dom's house. But definitely want to get to do those as soon as possible, because